Hello friends, and welcome back to my crafty space. My name is Crystal, and today we are going to be working on Project Life week 28. So for this week, I decided to use my More Please Feature Craft kit that just came out yesterday. And in the videos from yesterday, I do have one that is a project planning video where I show how I decided what cards I was going to use for Project Life. And once I pulled those aside, I knew going into week 28 that I wanted to try and take a picture of something that we ate from each day of the week. So what I've got here, I've got a couple of stamp sets, one that is just an alphabet that I want to use to put maybe some titles on here, and the More Please stamp set from the kit that I also will use to make embellishments or stamp on the photos. And then I have all of my cards and photos here in this bundle with my journaling already done. So like here's an example. Now I did choose to go ahead and add my journaling in or onto the cards from my computer. I will put a link to a video that shows you guys how I do this in case you are wondering. And that is pretty much going to be it. So what I'm going to do, I am going to put you guys on fast forward, put everything out here on the table, and then get to work on this spread. Once I have everything done, we will slow back down to close out for today. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we're going to just jump right into this spread. The first thing I'm going to do here is work on my title card, which is the yellow and white stripe. Now, I love to set aside these types of cards for my title cards, the ones that have a pattern on the majority of the card and then a blank space at the bottom. They are perfect for adding your date stamping and your week numbers, and it just works out really nice to use them for that. So anytime I see one of these types of cards in these kits, I always set it aside for Project Life. So what I'm going to do here is grab a couple of different stamps here. So I've got my roller date stamp, and I decided to use a blue ink instead of a black just to give it a little bit of a difference on this spread. I am going to use black with the week number, so it'll be black with the blue dates at the end. For the week stamp this time, I decided to use my Feature Craft Weeks to Months stamp set, I believe is what it's called. So it is the word week, and then there's a bunch of numbers and I believe there's like January through December and like all kinds of stuff on it. But I super love the font, which I believe is Brady Kincaid's handwriting. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it is. So I super love it. It's kind of retro, kind of like, I don't know, funky, and it went really well with the rest of this spread. So I inked that up. There's week 28 and the date stamps. I will recommend, and you guys can see it down at the bottom there, I always recommend inking your stamps and stamping them on a spare piece of paper before you stamp them down onto like the final surface, just to give it a little bit of prepping, whether it's new or used all the time. I always find that I get a better impression when I stamp off once and then come back and do it again on the final spot. For that card that you just saw me working on, I decided in this spread to try and use up as many of my cards as possible. So the food coma card, I decided to use it as more of an embellishment. So I just cut off all of the extra space around the outside of it, and I'm going to layer it up with a 3x3 photo there at the bottom on top of the blue. I think it says like in the mood for food, I believe is what it says on the background there. And then I have a couple of other cards on this spread as well that I pre-printed out some photos at a smaller size to add on to the white space. So up at the top where it says Good Eats, I have another 3x3 photo there. And then at the bottom right-hand corner, it says On the Menu. I have I honestly don't even remember what the size of that is. I think it's like 1.5 inches tall by 2 inches wide or something like that. It's something in that ballpark. And I added it onto that card, both of those leaving a spot to add a little bit of journaling as well. So once I had all of that done, the next thing I did was to pull out my stamp sets and come up with sentiments that I could stamp on various cards and photos on this spread. I really wanted to go stamp heavy this week because there are so many good stamps that came out with this Feed Your Craft release. So for this spread, I'm going to be using mostly the stamps from the More Please set. I believe I use one stamp from All Mine is the other stamp set. Then I'm also going to be using a variety of ink colors. So I've got the black there, which is my favorite black. All three of these that I'm using are scrapbook.com. The black one is the premium dye ink. It is my absolute favorite black. I love it. I also have a yellow rubber ducky and the blue postal blue. I wanted to pull in the yellows and the blues from the rest of this kit, and I don't actually have a red color from scrapbook.com, so that one needs to go on my list. If I did, I probably would have used red as well, but use what you've got. For this particular picture, I'm sure many of you already follow Heba over at My Little Journal. If you don't, check her out. Her YouTube is My Little Journal, and she always rounds out her stamps in order to stamp around things. So when I saw this picture that has my bowl of food on it, I thought it would be really fun to try and do that with one of the sentiments. You literally just manipulate it on your stamp block in order to curve it, and then you can stamp it just like that. So they all go back to normal once you take them off the stamp block. That's one of the beautiful things about acrylic stamps like this. Super love it. For some of my other pictures or journaling cards, ones that are really busy, I don't want to stamp directly on the photo. So like this one right here is going to go onto a photo of some beer. I think they're called carboys. I always want to call them carbines, but that's not right. I think it's carboys. Anyway, they're these containers that ferment beer. So the picture is really busy, and I didn't want to stamp directly onto it because I felt like it would just get lost. So what I did is I pulled over some white matte sticker paper and stamped the sentiment onto the sticker paper and then cut that out. For that one in particular, I'm not entirely sure if I want to put it in the middle or at the top, so I set it to the side. For this one, I'm going to add a ephemera piece. I only had 2 left once I took out the ones that I wanted to use for other kits. So I just decided to get them both used on this spread. So I've got food coma there, and then I'm going to add a stamp right underneath it, this time using the black ink. So I'm just trying to give some variability, having some black and some blue and some yellow, and ultimately to have kind of a well-balanced feel to the spread as a whole. So that one's going to go there, and we're done with that picture. When I am going through these pictures, as I'm pulling them down here where you can see them, you'll notice that the majority of them are food pictures. So I received this kit, because I'm on the creative team, we do get the kits a little bit earlier than most everyone else. So knowing that I had this kit, and knowing that I wanted to use it for Project Life, I had predetermined that this is the week I was going to use it, week 28. So when week 28 came around, I made sure to be really intentional about taking pictures of my food, which is something I typically don't do. And you can even see that towards the weekend, I kind of forgot what I was doing. And I only have pictures of, I think 2 days, I only have pictures of beer because that's what I took a picture of that day. But, it's okay. It's okay. Small steps forward. So most of them are food related. I did, however, add a couple of other pictures of my kids just because, to show their cute little faces on the week, and have some other things other than food on this spread because it is Project Life. So it's just kind of a peek at our life, I guess. So I did want to have pictures of us in there, but I wanted to keep the focus on food this week. Here is another example of stamping on the sticker paper. This one, I'm going to use a 1.5 inch punch to punch it out, and then I'm just going to adhere it. I'm actually going to go ahead and adhere it right away onto this photo so that it interacts with the top edge and that left side edge. So I'll just trim off the excess that hangs off. But if I had tried to stamp that on the photo itself, I do believe it would have got lost. So it worked out to just use the sticker paper for it. If you don't have sticker paper, you can always use just plain white cardstock and cut it out and then just adhere that on. That works too. Sometimes using sticker paper is a little bit easier for me because it's right there. And once it's cut out, I don't have to add any adhesive to it. So it works out kind of nice. For this one, I had originally, this was kind of my intention here. So I knew I wanted to put journaling at the bottom. I knew I wanted there to be kind of a space off to the right-hand side so I could layer up some stamps in there and just, have some fun with it. So I did 3 of them. I think one of them said, like made in my kitchen or from my kitchen or something like that. One of them says, let's eat. And then I'm going to do this tiny little one that just says, yum. So it's cute. This card right here, if you guys don't know or don't want to include it in something like Project Life, it also is really great to do it vertically instead of horizontally. And then you can just hole punch it and add it as an insert to one of your projects. So that was something that I had debated using that card for, but ultimately decided it worked nicely in my Project Life spread. So I think we're getting down. This might be the last one that has a stamp on it. And this one, I wasn't exactly sure what to do with that bottom bar area when I was originally putting my journaling in there, because I at first thought that was where my date was going to go, but then realized that there was a spot for a date. So I just left that part blank and figured I could find a stamp that would fit in there, and that would be a good opportunity to just go ahead and use it. So now I've got everything pulled back down, so it's all here, we can see everything, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere down those bits and pieces that I kind of left up in the air. So I've got the food coma cluster there, and then I've got that other sticker that I had made first, which I decided to just put it in the middle. At the time, I couldn't figure out where I wanted to do it. And then I am going to take those asterisks and literally just sprinkle them almost everywhere. So they just add some dimension, some pops of color. And sometimes I think that they help to draw your attention to specific areas of the spread. So I'm going to use the blue ones, I think a black one, green ones, and a red one. The nice thing about this kit is that a lot of those primary colors are in it. So it's pretty easy to figure out some tiny little embellishment type deals that you can add just to give a little bit of extra, a little bit of extra something on there. So I think we are about done with this spread. I'm just going to add a couple of journaly bits here. I always forget to fill out the check mark portions of these cards. And then the drink this card is in regards to the very first craft beer that my husband and his twin brother brewed together. So that is that. All right, you guys, that finishes up this spread for today. I love the way that this came together and telling stories from a different perspective than I normally would, from the perspective of food. I hope that you guys feel inspired and maybe have some ideas on how to use kits that are very themed like this one inside of projects like your Project Life. They're super, super great for helping you to tell some of the stories that we tell time and time again in a different way or from a different perspective. So super fun. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up down below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already so you can see all of my future crafty videos. I will be back again tomorrow with the next project for my Story Kit Crush series. I hope to see you guys then. Until then, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch you all in the next video. Bye now.